The road seemed to go on as an endless ribbon of black lace spooling out in front of the older Pontiac car as it made its way down the desolate, iced-over road. Wyoming was often unforgiving in its desolateness and harsh winters. They were alone in the last 2 hours. They had seen only one set of oncoming headlights, and that was about 20 minutes ago. The night only made the weariness of the drive more acute. The only sounds invading the inside of the older auto was the interminable whine of the heater that cranked out the push of warm air. There were the intermittent bumps as the worn tires heaved over the isolated patches of ice and occasional damaged parts of the road. California seemed a lifetime away. Both of them had been continually lulled off by the hypnotic whine of the heater, combined with the narcotic-like effervescence of the night and the monotonous drone of the engine. The one with the longer hair and the tattered green shirt was at the wheel. The other was slumped off with his head pitched recklessly against the side window. Every 30 seconds or so, he would jerk up and give a quick glance over to make sure the driver was staying awake. It seemed to happen as if almost preordained. It was without any sort of precursor that even indicated that it would go as bad as it did. He had only closed his eyes for a mere moment. It had been a fleeting whisper of time, and an immediate dream had started. He had experienced this all night long, but this one welled up into a rhythmic lullaby with a final jolting sound, followed by an abrupt and shattering great heave forward. Both were immediately and irrevocably thrown into full consciousness, slapping them across the face with a shameless and abrupt immediateness. The final impact of the older Pontiac hitting the abutment was brutal in its finality. Both sat as the dome light flickered on and off, as the car perched at a now oblique angle was silent and finally dark, as the final light of the flickering dome faded out. There was a final creaking sound as a loosely attached piece of front bumper succumbed to gravity and fell off with a sick, tearing sound. Both were silenced by the turn of events. They looked at one another in silent assessment. They didn't need to say anything. The situation spoke for itself. "Whoa," was all the one sitting in the passenger seat said. "This is definitely not good." The driver nodded as he adjusted himself in the seat. "Shit, I must have hit a piece of ice or something." The guy in the passenger seat shook his head. "You're probably right. Fuck. I knew this was going to happen. Fuck it. See if it starts, maybe we can back out." The driver felt on the console for the keys. There was only silence. "Did you try?" asked the passenger. The driver nodded. "Nothing." "Son of a bitch, it's cold out here," let out the driver as he looked about. "Shit, something told me to bring a jacket," the passenger let out, as much to himself as to the driver. The driver looked at his watch, squinting in the dark at the barely illuminated dial. "Shit, it's only 11 o'clock. That could mean a lot of time in this soon-to-be freezing icebox." The passenger heaved down in his seat. "This is some deep shit." The bitter cold of the long Wyoming night soon began its inexorable task of taking every atom of heat out of the vehicle. As the heat began to dissipate away, it picked up momentum, and soon the inside of the car was a freezing box. They had already discussed the possibility of burning the seats, or trying to get a couple of gallons of gas that were still in the tank, but how to get it out. They had discussed burning the entire car, but abandoned that as soon as they realized that this freezing shell was their only hope till morning. They were now beyond conversation, both now huddled in their own silent misery. The driver looked down at his watch. It seemed that the glow was nearing the last release of photons. "Shit," he chattered. "Fucking 12:30. We got hours till sunup and not one car." "This is brutal," said the passenger, as he moved his hands from between his legs to inside his worn shirt. "Shit, dude. We could die." Fuck, totally, seconded the driver as he vigorously rubbed his arms. I know you fell asleep, asshole. I never should have let you drive. The driver ignored the comment. He had stuck by his story. Well, I sure don't remember it, and what difference does that make now? The passenger continued. Dude, we are going to die. There ain't a shitball's chance in hell of anybody coming on this back road now. The driver continued rubbing his arms, trying to generate heat. Both were starting to shake involuntarily. Shit, man. I'm sorry. Aw, fuck it, mumbled the passenger. They both settled into silence. Both were beginning to suffer from the effects of hypothermia. Both resigned to keeping any body heat they had sequestered in their bodies. It was the driver who first noticed it. It had bounced off the rearview mirror. He was shaking uncontrollably. His eyes went to it. He was sure he had seen a light. It was off in the distance, but it was a light. As he stared, it again flashed into the rearview mirror. Bro! He could barely get this out as he was shaking so violently. The passenger turned to him, his jaws now so cold he was almost unable to mouth a word. "Eee!" was all he could enunciate. "Lights! I think I saw lights." The passenger turned around in the seat, both looking into the ink black of the obliquely slanted rear window. Both had clouds of condensate coming from their breaths, breathing downward to avoid fogging the rear window. They saw it. It flashed again. It was in the distance. It was car lights. They went out of sight, but then came back. It seemed to be approaching rather quickly. Hills was all the passenger could muster. The car was going by hills they had passed earlier. The lights flashed again. There was no doubt. It was an approaching car.